The original Street Fighter II cast only had one female character. She entered the tournament to track down M. Bison and defeat him after he killed her father. She goes by the name Chun-Li and is from China. Chun-Li rapidly became one of the most well-liked characters in the game. Given her speed and the fact that anyone may be killed by her lightning kick, she was one of the best characters to utilize. Chun-Li helped demolish preconceived notions about other female video game heroes as well. Far from being a helpless damsel in need of rescue, she was a force to be reckoned with who never let anything or anybody stand in the way of her goals. Today, we will look at the life of the first ever female warrior, her remarkable potential for free will, and her connections to the Capcom multiverse. Before we go into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us, it means a lot. Thank you. Let's begin. History of Chun-Li. Chun-Li was designed by designer Akira Ackerman Yasuda. Ackerman asserts that Tao from Genma War's Harmageddon, the highest-grossing anime movie of 1983, served as Chun influence. Li's Chun-Li used to dress in broad, roomy slacks with a front and back apron. She didn't look especially sexy, and Ackerman changed it since it lacked distinctiveness and force. Around 11 o'clock, she started playing around with her outfit choices. Finally, she decided to outfit her in a bodycon dress and expose her legs to make her look more like a professional wrestler. This design ultimately became Chun-Li's final design. Chun-Li's name translates to spring beauty in Mandarin, Chin which means spring and L which means beautiful. It is accurately romanized as Chun-Li in Pinyin and pronounced Chun-Li despite how commonly Westerners pronounce it as Chun-Li. Chun-Li is a smart, dedicated law enforcement officer who shares her father's sense of justice in that she is adamant about protecting the lives of others and standing up for the defenseless. She is a strong, experienced, and a bold lady who frequently speaks with common sense. She takes pleasure in her work as a police officer and displays it when she rescues someone else. Aside from her role as a police officer, she has an elegant, kind, and a feminine attitude. However, Chun-Li is not without her faults. She has shown a propensity to become very competitive with criminals in Street Fighter media, and she doesn't take kindly to anyone who makes light of her pride in being a cop. As seen by her presence in the Super Gem Fighter mini-mix finale, she occasionally displays a somewhat dense side. Chun-Li has regularly let her emotions get the best of her while performing her duty. As Nash and Guile remarked, this has at least once almost ended in her death at the hands of Bison. As seen by her narrative mode in Her Shadow Falls, Chun-Li is aware of this and has pledged never to act inappropriately once again as long as that feeling lingered within her. She frequently forms friendships and alliances with other military and police officers because of her commitment to justice. She has also demonstrated incredible tenacity in her pursuit of challenging criminal groups like Shadaloo. Chun, unexpected in the Street Fighter V arcade ending, Li's cooking prowess, which avoids her typical femininity like Lucia, but not to the point where the food becomes hysterically bad like the latter was revealed, to the point where she burns her food while following cooking instructions, and Li Fen must take over with what's left of the ingredients. Chun-Li exhibits her maternal-like compassion and caring traits in the arcade finale of Street Fighter III Third Strike. She keeps instructing children in Kung Fu even after saving Li Fen. The people Chun-Li has encountered while traveling have inspired her to teach her new students about strength and beauty and to help them plan their futures. Chun-Li's participation in a world championship as a female fighter revealed a shift away from Street Fighter's more direct and realistic tone. The character continued to be from China after she learned the martial style. To emphasize Chun-Li's willingness to push herself to her physical limits to battle on a level playing field and compete with the male-dominated cast in strength, it is said that Ackerman gave Chun-Li drive her very muscular thighs. This was done according to composer Yoko Shimamura because of the composer's fondness for women. Chun-Li was first envisioned by Ackerman wearing pants, but as her look developed, tights were substituted. Eri Nakamura later created Chun-Li-Lee's fighting alpha outfit, which helped to highlight her enhanced upper body figure and served as the inspiration for her Street Fighter X character models. A backflipping attack was one of Chun-Li's techniques in theory, but many playtesters thought it was broken. This maneuver was not included in the final edition as it was intended due to a lack of time to add it back into the game. During the development of Street Fighter III Third Strike, Yoshinori Ono saw the expansion of Chun-Li's sprite thighs, which were occasionally described as bordering on gigantism. But everybody involved agreed that their thickness contributed to the character's richness. Being a certified police officer and a global Interpol agent also appears to be compared to the 1987 action movie Assassination, which starred Charles Bronson and Jan Gan Boyd as Charlotte Charlie Chang. Jay Killian, the protagonist, sidekick, and sporadically romantic interest in the movie, was played by Charlotte Charlie Chang. It's noteworthy that during the movie's opening sequence, Charlotte is shown with Jay wearing a conventional blue cheapao. After Bison killed her father, Chun-Li joined Interpol to give herself the means to find him and bring charges against him. During the events of SFA2, she received a tip from Jen, her martial arts instructor and her father's lifelong friend, concerning who could have killed her father. She begins researching the mysterious criminal group Shadaloo and eventually finds M. Bison. She begs him to tell her what happened to her father, and he hits her and quickly subdues her. Before boarding his airship, he threatens to kill her if she opposes him again. Chun-Li sobbed and promised to take retribution. Chun-Li works with Charlie and Guile from the Air Force to locate Shadaloo in SFA3. When they locate the site and are ready to launch an attack, she learns that Bison tricked the Air Force into abandoning the bombing of the Shadaloo facility. She rushes up to the two soldiers and tells them that they were tricked and that it is now their responsibility to destroy the base. To set off bombs all around the Thai Shadaloo stronghold, Guile and Charlie head there. Guile dashes outside to let Chun-Li know that Charlie had forced both of them to leave as they entered to destroy the Psycho Drive. The conclusion they reached was that Charlie and Bison had perished in the base's explosion as they were both inside. Despite being upset with the lack of proof of Shadaloo's atrocities, Chun-Li and Interpol succeed in putting an end to the evil empire's operations. Chun-Li is uncomfortable after realizing that life after retirement is less than what she had anticipated. Guile locates her without delay and offers evidence of Shadaloo's return. She rejoins Interpol and teams up with Guile and Cammy to take down Sin, or SIN, and discover the truth about M. Bison's fate. She enters the Sin tournament to finally defeat Shadaloo. As she moves, Abel approaches her and asks for whatever details he can on the Shadaloo gang. She runs across Jen, another competitor in the competition, and inquires further about her father's passing from him. Later, she makes an unsuccessful attempt to apprehend Yuri and have her detained for questioning. Vega captures the burglar after getting inside the Sin Dam facility and setting off the base's self-destruct device. She is finally saved by Guile and Abel. She tells Guile that she will continue to work as a police officer and that she is not just fighting for her father but also for herself after the competition. Following the events of SF3 Third Strike, Chun-Li was able to make peace and resume her work as a police officer. She ultimately defeats Shadaloo, gives up street fighting, and begins instructing young children in martial arts. Urien kidnaps a little girl for his scientific experiments, but Chun-Li is able to catch up with him. She confronts him, defeats Urien, and retrieves the kid. Since then, Chun-Li has kept raising her adopted children.
Vega? Shouldn't you be dead?
Perhaps I'm a ghost.
I don't care if you are. Either way, you're coming with
Interesting facts you never knew about Chun-Li. Chun-Li and Ryu are tied for the most cameos in video games other than Street Fighter. She frequently joins Ryu on screen as the show's ambassador. Ryu has only appeared in one more Street Fighter game than Chun-Li, since Chun-Li was absent from the first game. Chun-Li has made several cameo appearances in Capcom video games. Chun-Li and Guile make a cameo in Final Fight 2. She could be spotted devouring a bowl of ramen on the Hong Kong level. She makes an appearance as the regional television news anchor in Mega Man 9's opening scene. In the original Super Nintendo Breath of Fire game, Chun-Li may be seen practicing her attacks if you visit the town of Bleak and give the magician money. Furthermore, Chun-Li appeared in one of the DLC's endings for Asura's Wrath when she imprisons Kal-Ro. The varied cast of Street Fighter II characters, each of whom stood out visually and played differently from the others, led to the game's success. While Ryu and Ken were the exceptions to this norm, it also became more noticeable in later episodes of the series. The characters in fighting games before this were intended to be as genuinely grounded as possible, with many of Street Fighter's forerunners using real-world martial art events in their setting. When creating the Street Fighter II cast, several alternative designs were taken into account. For instance, Tiger Mask, a well-known Japanese professional wrestler, was the inspiration for Blanka at first. It would feature in later iterations of the King of Tekken series. Vega wielded a sword in battle and initially intended to join the Knights Templar. Chun-Li was initially intended to be an army soldier that resembled Vasquez from Aliens. Later, Cammy would arrive, a female fighter with a military theme. Street Fighter II is generally credited with creating the fighting game genre. Although it wasn't the first game of its kind, it undoubtedly popularized the genre and helped to standardize the rules for the games that followed. The popularity of fighting games had recently soared as a result of the expansion of esports and the ease with which players may find rivals online. Fighting game characters who move quickly generally win in a competitive setting. Characters who commonly govern the games in which they appear include Fox McCloud and Sheik from the Smash Bros. Series. This is best illustrated by Chun-Li, who has consistently been one of the most powerful competitive Street Fighter characters since her debut. Chun-Li from the Street Fighter series can perform combos by flipping away from the opponent. Although it was originally planned for her to use this ability in Street Fighter II, the designers opted against it since they believed it would upset the balance of the gameplay. The flipping assaults Chun-Li used to make would return in the game's Champion Edition. Due to its immense success, Street Fighter II evolved into a multimedia franchise. Live-action films, animated TV shows, comic books, toys, apparel, and pretty much any other type of merchandise you can imagine have all been influenced by Street Fighter. One of the most infamous Street Fighter II adaptations was the 1993 Malibu comic book series. In this cartoon, Ryu receives Ken's severed scalp in a box after it has been cut off with a knife. In the Malibu Street Fighter comics, Chun-Li practiced with Ryu and Ken before becoming a police officer. In the first issue, Chun-Li confesses that she is in love with Ryu. She attempts to assault him but is rebuffed. According to the third and last issue of the series, the two would have had a romantic relationship if the comic had been allowed to continue. We are fortunate that Capcom dropped this awful comic before it further harmed Street Fighter II's characters. Due to its reputation for being so horrible that it's amazing, the original Street Fighter movie has developed a cult following. Despite all of its shortcomings, the movie does include a few funny moments and lines that are worth remembering. In 2009, another Street Fighter movie was made that has nothing to do with the original. Chun-Li was the primary focus, and the title of the film was Street Fighter: The Legend of Chun-Li. In contrast to its predecessor, this film is dreadful. It seems to have gone out of its way to set M. Bison apart from the video game incarnations by making him an Irish gangster devoid of any magical skills. Street Fighter: The Legend of Chun-Li fell short in the eyes of both critics and consumers. The fact that Chun-Li is dispatched to visit Ryu at the end of the film shows that its designers had high expectations for it. A Street Fighter cinematic universe featuring several individual character-focused films building to a team movie may have been developed if the film had been successful. Chun-Li's quickness and wide range of chainable attacks makes her one of the best fighters in Street Fighter. However, in order to effectively utilize Chun-Li's agility, one must be a competent player. Also, to be playing a fast character like Chun-Li requires intuition and quick thinking. Mike Begum, one of the best Chun-Li players in the world, has demonstrated that it is possible to play Chun-Li without using your hands. Mike Begum was born with a condition that prevented the bones and muscles in his arms and legs from fully developing. Despite not allowing this to hinder his career in fighting games, Mike became the top-ranked Chun-Li player in the world in Ultra Street Fighter 4's online mode. With just his lips on the joystick, Mike has beaten every foe in the game. Chun-Li calls herself the toughest woman in the world. In-game and off-game, her admirers also refer to her as the most attractive woman in the world. The female fighting game characters that followed Chun-Li were motivated by her example that there was no need for a gender distinction in the world of video games. This might not have occurred if Yoshiki Okamoto had his way. He wanted Chun-Li's life bar in Street Fighter II to be shorter to reflect the fact that women were frequently weaker than men. Due to opposition from another game producer, this was the sole item that was omitted. If this person hadn't complained, Chun-Li may have evolved into a character who was distinctly weaker than the other Street Fighter II characters, and she would not have achieved the kind of cultural fame that she did. The 1993's action comedy movie City Hunter featured Jackie Chan. The film is more well known than Jackie Chan's foreign language films or any of his biggest box office successes. The scene in City Hunter when Street Fighter II characters come to life as a result of an arcade cabinet accident is its most well-known feature. As a result of Jackie Chan being electrocuted and inserted into an arcade game, the Street Fighter II characters appear. In real life, Ken faces up to E Honda and dalts him. Jackie Chan then launches into action while posing as Chun-Li. He has done a great job of nailing the mannerisms of the role. Ken is fought by Chan-Li using in-game assaults until being killed with her spinning bird kick. This film is for you whether you want to enjoy some live Street Fighter action or simply want to admire Jackie Chan's incredible legs. In Capcom's crossover video games, Chun-Li has consistently served as a symbol of the publisher. This suggests that Chun-Li has teamed up with a few surprising characters, including Rogue from the X-Men and Ling Xiaoyu from Tekken in Project X Zone 2 and X-Men vs Street Fighter. Chun-Li has always appeared in the Marvel vs Capcom series. Despite being one of the best characters in the Street Fighter series, Chun-Li usually struggles while facing up against ranged spammers like Cable, Iron Man, and Storm. The last scene of Marvel vs. Capcom 3 shows Chun-Li holding Spider-Man and Kingpin captive. The Kingpin from Daredevil has been crushed to a pulp, proving that he wasn't quite prepared to withstand the might of the lightning kick. We can only hope that Chun-Li finds the time to defeat Foggy in Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite. Like her video game counterpart, Chun-Li from the Street Fighter movie desired vengeance for the death of her father, who had been killed by M. Bison. She holds a journalistic position in the film, as opposed to a police position as she does in the video game. Balrog, E. Honda, and Chun-Li work together to confront M. Bison's nefarious empire. It is said that there is no continuity between the video game franchise and the Street Fighter film. The only similarities between the two versions of Street Fighter are quotes. For instance, M. Bison in the game made reference to the famous Tuesday comment from the movie. This part of the movie is probably not canon because Chun-Li's identity is revealed to be Chun-Li Zhang. The Zhang part of her name is merely an invention of the film. Chun-Li has always been her full name in the Street Fighter video games. The Street Fighter series now includes several evil character iterations. The best known illustration of this is the anime series Evil Ryu, which shows what happens after Ryu loses his mind after being possessed by evil energy. In addition, there is Violent Ken, a corrupted version of Ken created by M. Bison through brainwashing. An evil Chun-Li made her debut as Shadow Lady in Marvel vs. Capcom. She may immediately come off as a lame idea because Shadow Lady is essentially just Chun-Li with a dark filter applied to her character sprite. Since she possesses many unique abilities and skills, Shadow Lady truly varies from other characters more than you would realize. In addition to having enormous drills of 4 hands and the ability to launch missiles from her back, Shadow Lady can create an electrical barrier. In addition to being able to triple jump, she possesses a special finishing move dubbed the Final Mission. The Street Fighter series has always placed a premium on having a diverse cast. Because there is no main character, the player can stick with any fighter they want. One of the few Street Fighter characters to ever serve as the main character in a video game is Ken, who was a protagonist of the Street Fighter 2010. The connection between Street Fighter to an unrelated Capcom action game for the NES or NES was changed to accommodate the game's global release. Chun-Li has also starred in her title. However, it is not a true video game as we know it. In Japan, a popular hybrid pinball slot machine game is called pachinko. These sometimes include animated movies that progress in different ways according to your grade. In the pachinko slot game Chun-Li ni Mikasi China, in which she faced off against a variety of Street Fighter foes, Chun-Li portrayed the main character. The action video for this game is only partially complete, and it is doubtful that it will be released outside of Japan. When 2D Street Fighter video games were the standard, Chun-Li's massive thighs were difficult to ignore. This is more obvious in the official artwork for the series. Chun-Li's physical traits were more pronounced in the 3D Street Fighter games since the ability to correctly depict her look on screen was now accessible. Chun-Li has big thighs because of her training, which centers most of her strikes around kicks. The lightning kick needed some strong leg muscles to last more than a few seconds. Such an explanation for Li's look would sound acceptable, but Chun-Li's form origins are more disgusting. Yoko Shimomura reportedly questioned Chun-Li's inventor Akira Yasuda about the significance of her legs. Shimomura said that Yasuda made her feel uneasy by engaging in a long monologue about his massive thigh fetish. Akira Yasuda seems to be unable to lie and to have a thing for thick thighs. Street Fighter II had an impact on the fighting game genre as we know it today. Additionally, it gave rise to a huge number of imitations, many of which were disparagingly compared to the best fighting game. One of those games that forged its path was the notoriously violent Mortal Kombat. In contrast, Smash Bros. Focused on clashes involving more than two characters. The Street Fighter II anime film redefined the genre in many other ways. It was more true to the story of the video games while exceeding the live-action Street Fighter movies. Street Fighter II, the animated movie, was the first fighting game film to have a scene in the shower with one of its female actors. Chun-Li was in Street Fighter and she is briefly seen in the film naked. A similar scene starred Anna and Mai in both the Fatal Fury movie and the Tekken animated film. The insertion of the shower scene hampered the release of the picture because there are various prohibited and uncensored versions of it. After the internet helped raise awareness of the scene, a fully unedited version of the film was first published in America. The narrative and continuity of the Street Fighter franchise are a total mess. The numerous new games routinely retcon any previously established occurrences, hence it is useless to do so. Over the years, many things have changed, including Ryu and Ken's master and Charlie's destiny. The narrative is essentially unimportant because Street Fighter is a fighting game franchise. It's best to just enjoy the games for what they are rather than focusing on the poor framework that brings the same vibrant mix of individuals together to fight on the streets. One aspect of the franchise that is not regarded as canon is the game endings that you see after succeeding. Each of these is intended to support the notion that the character will overcome the competition's final boss and prevail. Chun-Li stands out because she can choose one of her endings, which makes her unique. Chun-Li defeats M. Bison in the final match of Super Street Fighter II: The New Challengers. After that, the player can choose to return to her prior life or to go on as a detective. Chun-Li is still the strongest woman in the world despite her choice.
I'll finish this!
What makes Chun-Li so strong? Instead of the slower, more destructive hits employed by heavier characters like Zangief, Chun-Li, the first speedy fighter in the Street Fighter series, employs a range of quick punches. Her rapid reflexes and delicate movements are adored among gamers. It's interesting to note that many other female fighters in the early arcade fighting game periods modeled their moves after the fast-paced Chun-Li. Along with Guile and E. Honda, she was largely a charge character in previous games, such as Street Fighter II, but her play state was changed in later games to give her more technical feel and provide players access to her trademark speed. Her basic fighting styles generally emphasized Chun-Li's thigh and physique, which gave her a variety of kick assaults and allowed her to combine speed and sheer strength for a mixed fighting style. In Street Fighter III: Third Strike, Chun-Li modified how she executed her martial arts, changing some of her crouching stances to resemble a lotus pose. As the games proceeded, Chun-Li's animation started to deviate from her original ones. Another distinctive feature of Chun-Li was that she only retained a small number of her signature attacks throughout all of her versions. Chun-Li in Street Fighter II, the animated movie. A Japanese martial artist named Ryu and a Muay Thai champion named Sagat fight in the prologue until Ryu utilizes a Shoryuken, a rising uppercut strike pushed by ki spiritual force to severely scar Sagat across the chest. In a rage, Sagat rushes at Ryu. Ryu still uses his Hadouken technique, which entails building up ki strength in his hands before releasing it as a powerful energy blast to declare victory. Sagat vows to exact revenge. After a justice minister was murdered by an enamored MI6 agent a few years later, Interpol agent Chun-Li Zhang suggested partnering with the US military to bring down the shadowy criminal organization known as Shadow Law. Captain William Guile, who is seeking vengeance against Shadow Law's leader M. Bison for the death of his closest friend, ultimately gives in when Chun-Li later admits that M. Bison killed her father years ago and that she too desires payback, but is conscious that her mission comes first. With the aid of his bodyguards Balrog, Vega and Sagat, Bison oversees an international search for Ryu inside the Shadow Law castle. Additionally, he dispatches a massive number of monitor cyborgs to find other martial artists who can aid him in achieving his objectives. Ryu searches the world for good opponents like Fei Long, Dalsim and Edmund Honda, but he is able to stay undetected by mastering his ki. Ken Masters, Ryu's American buddy and fighting rival, still yearns for a good challenge and wants a rematch with Ryu, even though Ryu has settled down with his fiancée Eliza. A monitor cyborg keeps an eye on Ken while he fights T-Hawk, who went looking for him to challenge him. The Shadow Law base has the video of the fight. After watching the footage and learning about Ken and Ryu's previous interactions, Bison intends to find Ken and hypnotize him rather than Ryu. Bison gives Vega the order to kill Chun-Li in New York after witnessing her and Guile warn DJ about the monitor cyborgs and kill one of them in the process. Vega surprises Chun-Li at her apartment, but after a bloody struggle, she kicks him through the building's wall, resulting in his fatal fall. However, she suffers severe injuries and enters a coma. Guile arrives and immediately drives her to the hospital. He also learns about Ryu and Ken through Interpol. Guile quickly departs towards Thailand to notify Ryu, who is practicing in the mountains with E. Honda, of Bison's capture of Ken. Guile is pursued by Bison, who then confronts them. Ken is put into hypnosis by him, and at first, there is no resistance from him. Guile faces Bison and receives a brutal thrashing, but as a final insult, Bison spares his life as Honda battles the Balrog. As Ryu prepares to exact revenge on him, Ken suffers from flashbacks of his past torment and manages to elude Bison's mental control. The enraged Bison turns his attention to Ryu as he fights to defeat him after using his psycho power to push Ken into the distance. After Chun-Li has fully recovered, Guile and Chun-Li make up in the hospital, and Guile informs Chun-Li that their mission was a success. In a different scene, Ryu and Ken once more part ways, and Ryu then re-enters his mission. He is suddenly ambushed by a huge car, and it turns out that the driver is Bison, who survived the battle. As the film draws to an end, Ryu leaps towards the car to face Bison once more. Marvelous appearances of Chun-Li in other media. Chun-Li was portrayed by Chinese-American actress Ming-Na Wen in the 1994 film. She would subsequently provide Mulan's voice in the 1998 Disney animated film of the same name. In this case, Chun-Li Zhang is presented as a news reporter for GNT News rather than an Interpol agent seeking revenge on M. Bison for killing her father. Despite her change in career, she is the same person. In October 2006, Hyde Park Entertainment and Capcom announced their intentions to produce a second movie adaptation with Chun-Li serving as the lead. This film places more emphasis on the story and the characters than on a nebulous narrative. It is also a genuine Chun-Li movie rather than merely a Street Fighter movie with Chun-Li playing the protagonist like Guile did in the previous one. Justin Marks, a screenwriter, was tasked with creating the adaptation script. Street Fighter debuted in 2008, marking the 20th anniversary of the fighting game franchise. As part of Capcom's multi-platform launch, which also included the release of video games and a potential TV program, a movie adaptation made its premiere in 2008. In order to play Chun-Li in the 2009 adaptation, Kristin Kreuk, a Canadian actress well recognized for her work on Smallville, quit the series. In Power Rangers Legacy Wars Street Fighter Showdown, Gemma Nguyen played Chun-Li. The Street Fighter Resurrection episodes New Challenger and Fight and Flight both made reference to Chun-Li. The sequel to Street Fighter Assassin's Fist, Street Fighter World Warrior, features Chun-Li. Marvelous verdict. Chun-Li is a true heroine, in addition to being possibly the most recognizable fighting game character ever. This is because she is an undercover Interpol agent determined to bring the killers of her father to justice. She earned the nickname First Lady of Fighters for being the first female combatant in a video game. She is one of the most badass characters in both male and female characters. And if you liked our content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. Have a good one and be safe. Thanks everyone.
Neither of them willing to back off here. It's a big gamble and rips out a raw super.